Hi, this is Carl with a Relax, Focus, Succeed video. Today I want to talk about the power of blank blocks. Many of you get my technology newsletter, and as I was writing an article for last Monday's newsletter, it really struck me that there's something about blank blocks that most people really haven't realized, and that's the power of leaving blank spots in your schedule. Now, there's three kinds of things, I think, for the most part, that fit into your schedule. There's other people's stuff, right? So if you got a meeting and you have to attend it, chances are pretty good somebody else's priorities are on your schedule. Second, there are things that are high priority for you, like super high priority, that you absolutely have to do, and you block those out. Then the third kind of thing that is on your schedule can be blocks of blank time. Things where you basically say, all right, I'm going to spend this time either writing, organizing things, balancing the budget, doing some very focused work. And Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi calls it being in the zone, right? That you've got this super focused work where time seems to disappear because you're able to put your entire attention on it. Now, to make that blank block work, you really have to get in the habit of turning off the phone, turning off the buzzer, closing Outlook altogether. In fact, it wouldn't hurt to close any program you are not using at the moment. And that way, you can stay completely focused. I'm not asking you to disappear for 4 days. I'm saying 3 to 5 p.m. on Monday or whatever, pick a time and disappear. One of the great rules for managing any company is to realize most of the time, most people are not paying any attention to you. And we sort of have this weird thing as human beings. We think everybody's paying attention to us all the time. That everything I do, somebody's going to see. And if I do something that is, I don't know, maybe not what I want my public image to be, that everyone's going to poke at it and say, oh my gosh, look at that. But the reality is, most of the time, most of the people are not paying any attention to you. Which means, if you turn your phone off for 2 hours, yeah, you might get a couple of voicemails, but in reality, probably nothing important is going to happen. The world's not going to fall apart. We have to remember that most of the time when people are asking you to do something, they're trying to put their priorities ahead of your priorities. Now, if you're in a service business, their priorities might be your priorities, but most people fail to ask a very simple question that can help you screen things, and that is, how urgent is this? Very often, something can be extremely important, but not urgent. For example, your payroll. Twice a month or every 2 weeks or whatever it is, payroll is extremely important, but it's not urgent. If your payroll is on the 15th and you make a habit of getting everything done and filed by the 10th, well, then there's no urgency. It's just scheduled. Good scheduled in advance work is a beautiful thing. It helps eliminate urgency and emergency. So just remember that something can be very important, but it doesn't have to be urgent, and you should get in the habit of asking people. I think too often we assume that when somebody wants something, it's urgent. And so we frequently do the worst thing we could possibly do, which is put it at the top of our to-do list. Well, it might be the 7th most important thing you need to do in the next 24 hours. It might be less important than that. But there it is at the top of your list because somebody threw it in there and you keep working from the top down, from the top down, from the top down. That's why a cleaner mailbox is probably a more efficient thing. Most of us have, including myself, have a great deal of trouble keeping that mailbox as lean as we would like it to be. But we cannot assume that something is urgent just because somebody else threw it on our pile. One of my favorite old sayings, and I think I saw this on a sign at a a gas station garage, either my dad's or my Uncle Don's, when I was a kid, sign that says, lack of planning on your part does not constitute an emergency on my part. Too many people come to you at the last minute because they planned poorly. Well, that's not your fault. And so you need to make sure that they know, well, due to your lack of planning, right, you got a couple of options. You can pay double the regular price in order to have an emergency repair, or you can wait till whenever you've got a blank spot already in your schedule. Those are actually quite reasonable responses. We just have to get over the fear as service people that it's bad service to not let people interrupt us and make their lack of planning into our emergency, right? That's actually not very good business behavior. Another example of blocking out time is participating in things that are important to you. Like, for example, I have been a member of many mastermind groups over the years, and a very common rule in a mastermind group is, let's say, for example, we're going to meet every final Friday of the month, for the afternoon, from 1 to 4, or from 9 to noon, or something like that. When I'm a member of a group like that, I go through my calendar and I block out those appointments for the entire year, and I do not block anything in that time. And I have to be honest, I have many, many times moved to have somebody leave the group because they don't block out that time, they miss meetings, and then they're not contributing to the entire group because they didn't make it important to them. That's a very common way that people leave mastermind groups, is they did not make it a priority and everybody else has blocked out this time. You need to respect people when you block out time for something like that and actually block it out and make it a priority. The reality is, and I've made a presentation on this before, time is a priority, right? Time is something we all share exactly the same amount of, but how you spend your time is a reflection of your priorities. And if you don't block out time to be productive, then you don't actually put a priority on being productive. You say you do, but your behavior actually speaks louder than words. Being in a group, whether it is a mastermind group or a weekly Kiwanis meeting, Rotary meeting, whatever group you belong to on a regular basis, when you show up all the time, it means you have blocked out that area on your calendar and nothing else can go there. And of course there are extreme exceptions, but they should really be extreme exceptions and not something that you just regularly say, oh yeah, I got that Wednesday thing, but I'll go ahead and schedule stuff anyway. What that says is that is not a priority for you, right? That regularly scheduled meeting that you think you blocked out, it's kind of a soft block. You need a hard block. You need absolutely nothing else can take over that time. I will tell you, it gets easier over time for one very simple reason. When you block out times for truly important work, whether it is blank blocks or specific tasks that are high priority for you, what happens is you become very productive in those times. When you look at how quickly you balanced the checkbook, or how quickly you wrote an article for a blog, or how quickly you were able to achieve monthly or quarterly reviews, those sorts of things, like, wow, that disappeared really fast because of my focused attention. And when you feel the power of that, it becomes much easier to say, no, I got a blank block. You can't put anything on my calendar there. And I would literally say, put it on your calendar. I take blank blocks in my calendar and I simply mark them as personal time, and no one in my company is authorized to put something into that space without asking me first. And of course they just see a blank block, so they don't know what's in there. They don't know that I'm actually doing some work. But the point is, you will guard this time very jealously once you realize the value of blank blocks of time. And the final thing I would note is that when you're really busy and you've got this blocked out, it is okay to say these blocks are immovable, and now we're going to schedule work at the end of this busy period. it is good for your business in the long run that you are scheduling things 2 weeks out, 4 weeks out, 8 weeks out, and maybe even longer. Again, we have this odd sense that, if you're in a service business, everything has to be done right away. That's not the way the world works. It is okay to have a backlog. Without a backlog, you don't get to stay in business. So you have to have some backlog. The only question is, what is a reasonable, acceptable, manageable backlog? And it is okay, and you should never feel guilty about taking time to simply leave blank spots in your calendar for serendipity to show up and for you to be super productive. For Relax, Focus, Succeed, this is Karl Palachuk, wishing you the best of luck in everything you do.